To the surprise to absolutely nobody, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been targeting the biggest earning players at Manchester United. They really are under the most amount of scrutiny. And look, there's a lot of players at this club who can go. A lot of players are not good enough. Absolutely, I would agree with that. Not all of them are earning £300,000 a week plus. So I thought today we're going to have a look at some of the top earning players at Manchester United, and we'll decide upon whether Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the INEOS group are going to keep them at the club in this upcoming transfer window. I do expect a lot of change. Change is coming at Manchester United for the first time in a very long time, and I think it's going to start off with this in terms of player departures. The top 5 biggest earners at Manchester United include names such as Casemiro, Varane, Mount, Rashford, Martial. A lot of these players, I think, are going to be leaving the club very soon. So we're going to go through these one by one. I think Casemiro is pretty much nailed on. I think we've seen a decline in his overall performance levels when he has been available this season. Really, towards the back end of last year, I think we did see a decline in Casemiro's performances. And whilst I do still think there's a good player there, I don't know if I can warrant a player on £350,000 per week coming in at 31 or 32 who's only going to be going down. He's on a very long-term contract. I believe it could cost somewhere in the region of around £80 million to see that contract out from now until the finish. And I can absolutely see a business decision being made in terms of valuation as compared to overall performance coming from INEOS on Casemiro, and I can see him going. I can see United selling him, and that does seem to be the plan. We are seeing rumours circulating all season long that this could be the deal and this could be on the cards, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if this happens in the summer transfer window. And on the same card, the exact same situation with Raphael Varane. Now look, Varane does seem to be closer towards the exit at the minute than Casemiro. He's obviously had issues with Erik ten Hag this season. His fitness again has been very questionable, and at £340,000 per week, is that viable? Is that something we can have at the club, taking up so much resources? I don't think so. And I think we're in a position now where we can either extend Varane's contract on these current terms, negotiate a separate deal, or let him go for free. I think he's going to go. And it's whether or not we extend it and sell him, or whether or not we just let him go. I don't think Varane's going to be here next season. I think that in Casemiro and Varane are 2 big players leaving the club, 2 big names, but also 2 very big wages. And that allows us to reset the wage bill. Now look, I know a lot of people are going to look at this from the point of view saying, yes, if we reset the wage bill, that's helping the Glazers out, and that's what they would want, and this is bad ownership and bad running of the club. But the truth is, and it is a hard truth to swallow for a lot of people, a rebuild is a rebuild. You have to be ruthless with it, and if your favourite player ends up being let go, then that's what's happened. There's going to be players who I like, let go. There's going to be players who you like, let go. And ultimately, it has to be for the betterment of the team. And that's why I think Antony Martial will be next to go. £250,000 per week, 6 months left in his deal. He's not going anywhere this transfer window. It does look like any interest has been kind of swatted away from the player side. Nothing is going to happen there. He's going to take £250,000 per week until the end of the season. He's going to go and become a free agent. He might sign somewhere else, get a big signing bonus, and just play there instead. And I think that's most realistic. Marcus Rashford is an interesting one, and I'm not too sure what's going to happen with Rashford. As we know, capable of world-class form, capable of being a top-class player for this team, but at his wage, what's going to happen there? There's been questions about his commitment, about his desire, about the passion that he's had this season. I don't know with Rashford anymore. I really don't. He doesn't look the same player he did last season, and that has to be a concern for Manchester United, for Erik ten Hag, for INEOS, for whoever's going to be running this show. This has to be a big issue, and they have to decide pretty quickly what's going to happen. We can't have Rashford on the money he's on for a whole contract length just not performing season after season after season. So I think decisions could be made on Rashford. I don't think he's going to go this season. I think he'll be kept. I think in terms of the top 5 earners, it's going to be Rashford kept. I think Casemiro is going to go. Varane's going to go. I think Antony Martial is going to go. And then we're going to get on to Mason Mount. Mason Mount's an interesting one. Signed for a lot of money from Chelsea, a big wage, and he's barely featured this season. Whilst he has featured, I think he's done okay. I don't think he's been spectacular, but I think it's been an interesting one to see how he fits into this project long term, what his role is going to be. I don't think he's going to go. I would be absolutely stunned if Mason Mount was let go by this Manchester United board, by this new board coming in. So I really don't think that's going to happen. I think Mount's going to stay. So I think out of the top 5, you got 3 going, you got 2 staying. Then I think you come into a really obvious one as to what's going to happen, and that's Jadon Sancho. Now, Sancho's played his first match for Dortmund today. He's got an assist in that match to Marco Reus. he's starting to get the headlines. I reckon Manchester United will be very, very, very happy for him to go there, score some goals, get some assists, and they can sell him on for a good amount of money in the summer. I can't see it happening at Manchester United, regardless of whether Ten Hag's the manager or not. I just don't think it's going to happen at this club for Sancho. And I think if we can move him on and get a good fee, that's going to be INEOS' plan. I think they absolutely will do that. Then you come to Bruno Fernandes, the captain of the team. Now, I think Bruno's going nowhere at this minute in time. I think we're going to be keeping Bruno. I really do. And I think that will be for the foreseeable future. Now, ultimately, decisions will have to be made at some point on Bruno. He's 29 years old now, so he is coming into the latter part of his career. Maybe in a season or two, he could be a player we move on, potentially. But I would be absolutely stunned if Bruno was moved on this summer. I think we got much, much bigger issues in this team. I think we've got much bigger problems and bigger players who need to move on more urgently than Bruno Fernandes. He is still putting up genuine world-class numbers in terms of creativity, and it's going to be about maximising him, getting him the right players around him to let him thrive and get some goals scored for this Manchester United team. Taking Bruno out does not make us a stronger team, make no doubt about it. And I think he's going to be kept this summer. He will. Okay, then we come to Antony. I think Antony is probably going to be kept this summer. I think we should sell him. I don't think it's ever going to work out. I don't think he's good enough, to be honest. If he goes, I would be quite happy. I can't lie. I don't think we get anything much in terms of a feedback on Antony. I really can't see that happening, but I just see such a technically limited player capable of so little in terms of anything on his right-hand side, so predictable on his left. He lacks the speed, he lacks the athleticism to really do it in the Premier League. And I think it's just going to go down as another bust transfer. I really do. And I think it's probably that one transfer that's going to sit on Erik ten Hag's record, regardless of what happens at Manchester United. If he turns it around and makes us a force, I think that's still going to sit as a black mark on his record. And I think if he gets sacked, then I think Antony will be symptomatic of everything Ten Hag had done wrong at this football club. Final two, we got Harry Maguire. I think he's going to go this year. He probably could have went last year, but for West Ham's FFP restrictions and the wage demands, it didn't quite happen and it didn't work out at the time. I think Maguire's going to go. I really do. I think the kind of resurgence that he had in November kind of time before he got injured has probably been good for his career, probably makes him more sellable. And if he comes back and has a strong end to the season, I think he will be moved on anyway. He's still on a lot of money. He's still on £200,000 per week, so I absolutely can see Harry Maguire being moved on. And I think it's time to get younger centre-backs, quicker centre-backs, better on the ball as well. Look, Maguire's still a good player. He can definitely do a good job for another Premier League team. I think it's time we cash in. I think it's time we move him on. Ideally, we would have sold him last year. That was the plan. It didn't come off at the time. But I think this is going to be the year. Finally, we got Christian Eriksen on £150,000 per week for a squad player who's in his mid-30s. I don't think it's going to last for Christian Eriksen. I still think there's a wonderfully good technical footballer in there. I think he lacks the kind of athleticism that we need in midfield. I don't know if he's going to be a long-term option at this club. I think as a squad player, yeah, that's probably his level at this moment in time. But I think for £150,000 per week, that is far too much to pay for a squad player, for a bench player. That's not anything that Radcliffe is going to take a look at. He's going to look at it in terms of valuation, performance and utility. And I think Eriksen is going to be deemed surplus to requirements at Manchester United. And I do think that's genuinely a massive, massive turn and departure in terms of the wage. We've gone through the top 10 earners there, and we've only decided that we're likely to keep 3 players, and that's Rashford, Mount and Bruno. And even at that, there's questions over Rashford's long-term future. Bruno, a decision will be made at some point, and Mount still has to impress us in the first place. Really hasn't been given enough time in the team due to injuries and stuff. But 7 of our top 10 earners leaving would be absolutely massive for this club and absolutely enormous for that wage bill. And when you consider the fact De Gea has gone, Ronaldo has gone, we're really leaning down that wage bill, and that's going to allow us to be much more active in the transfer window. We're not going to find ourselves so under FFP restrictions. We're going to be a profitable club. We're going to have more money coming in, and hopefully it's going to lead to more money being available for signings, and giving more money to people who know what they're doing is always going to get you the results that you want. Look guys, that's my opinion. Let me know yours down below. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you guys are new and you want to support the channel. And I'll catch everyone in the next one.